Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to my little show here. Ooh, I got a little playback when I've got here we go. Let me get out of my YouTube. There we go. Because I hear off in there, and that was really annoying. There's nothing more annoying than the sound of my own voice, as you all well know. So this is my first official live stream ever because it's just now that I have the capability of doing this. I'm not a techie. Think about that. My degree is in communications from Ball State University. Graduated in 2000. That's how old I am. So yeah, I should know this stuff, right? But I'm not a techie. I'm just now figuring a lot of this out, and I just now have the capability to be able to do this. So what you're going to have today with me is something of a practice run. With this being my first official live stream, we're gonna get through this together. We're gonna see how it goes. So it's kind of an official, unofficial thing. So hang in there with me. It's my first time, and like I said, we'll get through this. I welcome any super chats. And as to the discussion, we're going to talk about, I'm going to let you guys lead me a little bit here. We're going to talk about whatever the hell you'd like. I don't have a whole lot prepared. I do have ideas I can run my mouth about if we need to, but I'm going to let you guys kind of help me run this show. Apostasy is here. Grazie, grazie, Miss Stacy. I didn't get your name initially until I kind of thought about it, and I was like, Apostasy. That's clever. That's good stuff. Our Don Robert Anthinat. I'm probably butchering that last name. Swift C is here. Hi, Swift C. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. Spartan Theology. Let's see here. Skyworks, Apollo, and Robert. I already said your name, Robert. I already destroyed it the first time. And you're quite welcome, Apostasy. Question. All right, so this isn't a super chat, but we'll go ahead and take it for the time being. From what I know, you were a bit of a fundamentalist, but did you ever participate in a more, you know what? Here you go. Here you go. From what I know, you were a bit of a fundamentalist, ever participate in a more progressive Christianity? I should say not. No, I rejected Christianity pretty early on in adolescence. So I never really progressed to a state where I would even be progressive, or where I even had any kind of political grasp of anything. Or I guess if you're talking about more of just a liberal stance on Christianity, yes and no. In that I did, like so many do, which was after I came to disbelieve in Christianity, I still clung to the notion of some kind of God, right? Some kind of general theism, which in a sense is kind of Christianity light. So I didn't really believe that the Bible was the divinely inspired word of God, or that these events transpired as the Bible that Jesus was the divine incarnate Son of God or any of that jazz, but just sort of the general belief in a kind of theistic God. I did cling to that for some time until eventually even that fell on the wayside. So I guess in the sense you could say that. Let's see here. Yeah, close enough. Close. Atheist comments is here. Always love your stuff. Um, what else have we got here? Hi, BG. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so we do have a $10 super chat from Nitty. Thank you so much, Nitty Gritty. What we got here? Let's see. What would be your best to someone to look into Christian origins slash mythicism other than Carrier? Well, of course, I myself am not a mythicist. I am a lapsed mythicist. I used to carry the banner of mythicism. I used to promote that idea until I was no longer convinced anymore, having read some of the criticisms of it. It still might be right. I'm not saying that I know for a fact that it is false. I'm just not personally persuaded of it myself. And I think a minimal Jesus provides a better, more plausible for Christian origins. But as far as a go-to for someone wanting to look into Christian origins, I got to tell you what has become my favorite of all time. If you just want to simplify this, just make it one. David, it was Jesus Deus, the early Christian depiction of Jesus as a meta, because it's such a brilliant, well-documented, and balanced view of how Christianity is equal parts Judaism, because it began as a sect within Judaism, but it was also, I mean, it emerged from a Judaism that was already third century CE. So he goes into comparisons with other heroes and legendary figures and so forth from the ancient Hellenistic Greco-Roman world, and how Jesus very much fits the mold of that day and time. So I could recommend one book. It's a pretty scholarly source. So but if you can wrap your head around it, it's one of the best you can possibly read. It's really good stuff. What else have we here? I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. There's super chat. That's the same one. Okay, I thought I had seen something else, but it could be that at 45 I've already begun to lose my flipping mind. But you're very welcome, Nitty Gritty. Very welcome. One of the scholars on spring break. What else we got here? Hello, YouTube punk. Dan Breeden, what about the argument that the early disciples used oral tradition, memory, techniques of repetition to remember what Jesus said? Oh, and let me bring up your, like I said, practice run. We're learning. We're learning. Let me bring up your comment. I think that Robin Faith Walsh really hits the nail on the head here. Some of this may be early tradition or oral memory or whatever, but I think that the gospel authors are essentially elite cultural producers within the Greco-Roman world, and that more of this has to do with the sort of creative license and just free of these authors. So, when I talk about there having been a historical Jesus, for instance, I don't think we can know a great deal about him other than just the broadest outlines, that he was probably an apocalyptic prophet, a complete apocalyptic prophet at that, but that most of what we wish we knew about this guy is just kind of lost to the hoary mists of ancient history, and what we find in the Gospels is primarily literary and creative stuff. So I just don't. I agree with Walsh in that I don't think we can put a whole lot of clout in the New Testament. I don't think we can place our bets there very highly as to what it authentically tells us really historically happened. That's just me, but yeah. DB needs a new internet. Well, am I not coming through clearly enough here, guys? If so, someone please tell me. I do have a wireless booster set up in my room. You can actually see it back there behind me below the Da Vinci poster, with an Ethernet cable running direct from to my PC. So I'm hoping that's giving me this capability to now do this pretty efficiently and smoothly as I liked. But if we're having technical issues, let me know. I'd like to know about them. You robot every now and then. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the stupidest thing I've ever done. My apologies. Any more questions? Any more super chats? I welcome them. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing here. I could, of course, talk about why it is that I do what I do, but first I want to vape. Because that's what you all came here to see. And do it without getting choked up and crying. Why isn't there a legit, let me pull this up. Why isn't there a legit gospel of Jesus. Uh, because, I mean, by the time this guy dies in the 30s CE, um, the earliest source we have is Paul, who is writing some 20 years later, and it can only be um, because remember he's preaching his gospel before he has ever even met Peter or James or any of these so-called pillars. So he can only know what he thinks he knows from from these other Christians that he'd been apparently persecuting. So, I mean, it can only be hearsay as to what he really knows. He later goes and, after so many years, goes and he talks to Peter and James, gets acquainted with them. I don't think from reading Galatians that they agreed on everything. But he talks as if they gave him the green light to go and share his gospel with the Gentiles. But I mean, we don't have, as to any original followers of Jesus, we don't have any of their statements, any of their written words. We don't have anything from an actual eyewitness in the New Testament. It's all suspect, all of it, every last bit of it. Let's see. And then I'll go on answering questions as they come, but super chats would be very much appreciated just to support what it is that I'm trying to do and make a living doing this full time. Let's see here. Sus. Damn right. This is a good one. Do you think Jesus preached annihilation like Ehrman seems to think, or eternal hell? Thanks if you answer. One scholar, no, it's really impossible to know, because here's the thing. I hate it when I hear other scholars even talk about what ancient Jew, this is what ancient Jews believed, right? As if all ancient Jews shared the same essential thing. So this is what all ancient Greeks believed. You hear a lot of that generalizing, and you have to understand that these were diverse peoples just as we are today. If you talk about Americans, for instance, that's a pretty diverse group. You wouldn't say all Americans think this or that. So the Jews had a variety of beliefs regarding eschatology, even afterlife beliefs. The Sadducees flat out didn't believe in resurrection, and the Pharisees did. You had some who believed in the spirit's release from the corporeal body and its heavenly ascent, surely acquired from Hellenistic thinking. You had others who believed in full bodily resurrection. You also have within the New Testament the notion of being taken up into a heavenly sphere, such as Paul says in 1 Thessalonians, as Luke hints at, as John tells us. You also have millennial kingdom on earth, as you see in Revelation. So what did Jesus believe? It's hard to say, because different Jews believe different things. He might have believed in this outright annihilation or eternal torment. There's just no possible way to know, and I don't think we can take the Gospels at their word for what he said. I think they represent whatever the authors themselves meant to say. But that's a great question. What else have we got here, kids? What else? Harmonic Atheist for $6.66. Your question. You get out what you did pay. Get out of here. Get out of here. No, come on, buddy. He says, Harmonic Atheist is my good friend Tim Mills. I'm so glad you're here, Tim. Do you think any Jesus stories are based on the Zodiac or star stories? I think that to a degree, just perhaps not to the degree that some mythicists, and for instance Acharya S, took it. I don't think it's as simple and clear cut as some of them make it, but I also wouldn't say that it's not at all. I think in some sense Jesus is like the sun, like it delves into that old sort of mythology, so to speak. In ancient Egypt, when the pharaoh is raised from death, he is exalted into the skies and he shines like the sun. And you see this sort of this theology of light and essence, again, as far back as ancient Egypt, but also throughout the Greco-Roman world as well. I was talking about M. David Litwa's Jesus Dios, the early Christian of Jesus as a Mediterranean God earlier. There's an entire chapter in that book called Light Was That Godhead. And so this is a recurring theme about these divinities who, when they are either immortalized, apotheosized, and taken up, or raised from death, they have these new spiritual, luminescent, shining bodies. Romulus appears to Proclus in shining armor, more than human. Asclepius he appears to a man and his very ill mother in shining brilliance and array as well. So this is clearly connecting to some of that solar theology. So as 12 disciples, this of course harkens back to the 12 tribes of Israel. But why were there 12 tribes of Israel? It's probably astrological symbolism. You know what I mean? So this stuff begins with these kinds of more primitive, archaic notions. It becomes a conduit of Judaism and then finds itself in Christianity, where by the time you get to Christianity in the first century, probably some of these solar or seasonal vestiges have kind of fallen away. But that doesn't alter the fact that those vestiges are there, is the origin, even if they have gone through a more circuitous route to get there. So I hope that answers your question, Harmonic Atheist. Like I said, glad you're here, and great question. What else we got? What else we got? This is fun. I'll definitely be doing this again. Over your comments. If Yahweh was an angry storm god that Solomon may or may not have locked into the Ark of the Covenant, is that why it will at least shock you when you touch it? Well, I mean, there's a great documentary on this called Indiana Jones and the Last Ark, where it shows these people messing around with the Ark, and they are quite shocked. I mean, it's shocking. A few of them, I think their faces melt off. So I'm surprised they were able to even put that on the screen because of the graphic reality of everything that took place there. But it's a great documentary, and if you get to, I think it came out in the 80s. When I was just a kid. So do check that out when you get a chance. Tim is awesome, says apostasy. Yes, he is. And so are you. We'll be talking soon here, apostasy on the 15th. Forward to it. You damn well better have some good questions for me because I'm going to lay into you. What else? What else is going on here? Hello, Melody Joy. Fuck it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Good old what's his name? The no spin guy, Bill O'Reilly. There's no spin really with any of that Fox News stuff. You don't find any spin, which is what I love about Fox News. They just give you the straight dope. That's it's I think it's been rated the best news source, not just in America but throughout the world and the galaxy. To be frank. They are top-notch journalists. They're the best. Apostasy asks, what got you interested in studying this topic so in depth? That's a great question. Great question. So I was raised in a very, I wasn't raised going to church because we had this strange sort of unorthodox belief in what we called physical salvation. Me and my family did, in which we thought Jesus was to every last living person eventually, that some may go to hell, but only temporarily, not for eternity. In the end, Christ as the Savior, if God loves us as his children, he would never punish any of us eternally, because what parent would do that? So in the end, Christ would save every last living soul. That's what I was raised to believe. Moreover, I was taught that if we believed in Christ fully in this way, that he who believeth in me shall not die but have everlasting life. We took John 3:16 quite literally and thought that we were physically saved. that we never die. We have this crazy belief in actual immortality. Now, we weren't that crazy. It's not like mom would just let us run through the streets doing whatever the hell we wanted because this stuff's compartmentalized, right? So you believe it, but in deep down, you kind of know that's not reality. And I think that's probably the way it is for a lot of Christians, even these Christian apologists. So after the death of my father due to cancer, granted, he said, I accept this on my deathbed, and so lo and behold, dad will never die because he's been physically to be alive. He does indeed die, and that set me on a journey. I came to doubt everything that my whole religious foundation was swept from under me in one fell swoop, and I questioned everything from that point forward. I think I was agnostic for most of my adolescence. It was after from high school, either converted to Christianity or back to Christianity after doubting for some years. This was in my mid-20s. He comes to see the light again, and he and I had kind of always been on the same page with the agnosticism that seemed. So that sparked my interest a little more and caused me to say, well, maybe I need to look into this stuff again. Again, doing that, discovered comparative religion fairly early on and was fascinated with it. But of course, that went to show me that this stuff is every bit as logical as it looks like. I mean, already I kind of was pretty suspicious. I was familiar enough with world mythology, generally speaking, to realize that what we're reading in the Bible, I mean, this stuff sure sounds like ancient, legendary, and mythological material. Lo and behold, you find a lot of substantial parallels and similarities with other mythologies and so forth in the ancient world. You gotta, I mean, if you're honest with yourself, you gotta realize this is just more of the same. Surely, not to say that there are not historical kernels, historical Jesus, and his having had a ministry, various events as told in the Old Testament, such as the exile from Babylon and their eventual return. But these stories are embellished and exaggerated and mythologically. So when I came to realize that stuff early on, I like I said, I was fascinated with it. It was just absolutely enthralling. I was mesmerized, and I've not been able to let it go since. I'm hooked for life, it seems. So great question. Thank you. Apostasy. Like this, harmonic atheist, is Derek Lambert as sexy in real life as on YouTube? Even sexier, even sexier. I wish I could tell you the kinds of things, the kinds of activities that we engaged in and participated in together out there in Washington. But this is a family program. This is a family program, so I can't. All I can tell you is that it was dirt nasty. Dirt nasty. Let's vape about this. That's good stuff. Any super chats? Super chats are welcome. We got thank you so much. This is from former Christian. $20 super chat. Muchas gracias. Much appreciated. He says, love your work. You never cease to get me laughing while also informing. Thank you. That is Zachary. By the way, you are roboting quite frequently. Don't mean the dance. Yeah, we don't want to see that again. Guys, I apologize for that. Let me see if, let's see here. I don't know if anyone has any suggestions as to what I can do about that. Maybe I drop the quality level because I know you have an option between 1080 and 720 as far as the resolution. So maybe if I drop the resolution, that might help. So if anyone has any suggestions or where I go on StreamYard in order to do that, let me know in the comments. Let's see here. Swift C, I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, Swift C. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. What else have we here? The robot gremlins are back. Or is it former Christian or farmer Christian? I'm talking to. I like farmer Christian even better. Maybe turn off Wi-Fi on your phone. Let's do that. Let's turn off the Wi-Fi on our phone. Okay, so we're turning the Wi-Fi off on the phone. While I'm at it, I'm going to switch my television off, and you can check me out as I walk away. All right, we'll see if any of that help. And for future reference, we'll continue to get gooder at this. We'll continue to get gooder at it. All right. Well, it is your first live stream, Derek. You'll get it. Thank you, Zachary. Lahawki, and you are always love your on my channel. I absolutely love your comments, Zachary. They're always so supportive and insightful. They're great. So I'm really glad to have you as a fan and a follower. Thank you so much for existing. What's the ratio of ex-theists and never theists here? It would be interesting to find out. It would be interesting. Now, Swift C, I know, is a theistic Christian, in fact, but he's not one of those obnoxious ones. So I really appreciate someone like that. This gives me an opportunity to say that I am not anti-Christian. I count that way, but I'm not. I don't have a problem with anyone being a person of faith. I don't have a problem with Christians just being Christians at all. I take issue with, of course, the religious right and with these Christian apologists who I think are distorting historical methodology and trying to pull one over on people, skeptics included. I reject their whole modus operandi. I think it's an intellectually dishonest practice, and so I speak out against that. But you know, some being a person of faith, you and I have no issue whatsoever. I believe in freedom of religion and what we were founded upon as a nation in that regard. So Swift C, I'm glad you're here. I welcome your comments and your questions because you do what you do respectfully and cordially, and I very much appreciate that. Let's see. Any super chats? Am I still roboting? If you're enjoying this, give me a one. Looks like I brought up someone's comment. Swift C currently reading out the blessings and curses of Deuteronomy 28 and how it relates to vassal treaties. Interesting stuff. And I'm also reading on a billion other topics as well. A billion? Slow down there, Ace. Good Lord, you're gonna burn your eyes out. GPT is in the audience. You're always very much enjoyed and appreciated. It's Fletcher Christian. You're stranded on a desert island following a mutiny. I don't know what that's about, but I love it. Wannabe Scholar also says, you're hilarious, dude. How can I be funny like you? If I could ever be that funny. Here's how I explain this. I'm not that funny. The sick voice in my head is hilarious, though. It's like there's this little man living here in my head. It says the most outrageous, ridiculous shit. And I just tune in, and then it comes out. It might be Jesus, for all I know. Maybe Jesus is doing it to make me look bad. But I tell you what you got to do, and here's a piece of advice. I took a creative writing course in college, and the professor told us to open up our journal book and just write. Don't think, just write. Free flow, stream of consciousness. And if you practice that, you get better at just thinking on the spot, letting those creative juices flow freely. You got to do what you can to, because we all have these inhibitions that stifle us. So you can fight those inhibitions by freeing allowing it to come to the surface and flow. So that creative writing exercise is something I highly recommend in order to help you awaken that within yourself. That's my suggestion. That's my suggestion. GPT says, "What, Derek? That's uncalled for. That's completely inappropriate, and you're going to be canceled for this. That's uncalled. I love it. You know I love it. It's a good one. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I don't know. I didn't earn it. I'll tell you that much. I did not. It's just there. What are you going to do?" Let's see here. From Mojo, Atheologica, did you play games like Terranigma or other NES or N64? Not those, but I am an avid gamer. These I play on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Granted, they're the last generation systems. I think they look great, especially compared to what I was playing as a child. I had Intellivision was my formal introduction to gaming. And then, of course, 8-bit graphics with Nintendo. So this stuff that I see nowadays is blowing my goddamn mind. And I don't take it for granted like a lot of people probably do. When you see the progression in technology and graphics, as I've seen in my lifetime, it's spellbinding, and I love it. So I love and appreciate games because since they're art, these are artistic works. It's the aesthetics that I love more than anything else, as much as the gameplay. So I'm into it. I'm there for it. What else have we got? Spartan Theology says, Christian here, good for you. And I can't express it enough. There is not a damn thing wrong with that. I think people should be free to believe and practice whatever the hell they want in this country, as long as they aren't harming anyone. Absolutely. But of course, interesting with Christians here, if you do have any questions or comments, I'd be interested in hearing them. Absolutely. What else have we? Trying to catch up with you guys here. Let me hide that last comment. The Myth Vision podcast. I've never heard of that. It's kind of a stupid name. Says, who does this guy think he is? Who do you think you are? Coming out onto my show out of absolutely nowhere, out of thin air. This completely obscure Myth Vision podcast. What a stupid name. It's like something a third grader would come up with. How about Myth Vision? That's God, that's lame. Anyway, who do I think I am? I'm your dream come true. That's who I am, Derek Lambert. I love you. I'm glad you're here. You're the best. You the best. How can I be the best when you the best? You know what I'm saying? Glad you're here, but big dog, big dog. Kids. Apostasy. He's told us all about your Washington shenanigans, Myth Vision. No, I didn't. I did not, because it's not made for TV. Not made for TV. Like I said, if I could describe it in 2 words, dirt, just dirt. He's a sexy man. What else have we? Oh, we got a super chat. We got a super chat. Zachary Lahaki for $5. Thank you so much, Zachary. I appreciate it. Derek, it means so much to me that you like my comments. You bet I do. I love being subscribed to your channel. Where did you come up with the name Atheologica? That's a great question. So in my early to mid 30s, so this is a little over a decade ago, I had moved back to my hometown of Evansville from Nashville, Tennessee for 6 years. Used to run around with old Luke Bryan before that guy was famous. Now he's exploded everywhere. Not like that. Came back to Evansville. A family friend pointed out to me the Courier and Press, which which is the newspaper publication there in Evansville, Indiana, and that there was an online version of the Courier and Press where anytime an article would come out by this local preacher, people were hopping online and debating this stuff left and right. So she points this out to me, and I'm like, I've been studying this stuff for a good few years. And I hop on there, start debating with these people, and I'm just clubbing people left and right when I'm only a few years into this. And people began to take notice. There were people who, before they met me, they thought I was like some Ivy League scholar sitting in front of a vast regal bookshelf with all this nonsense. They come to meet me and they're like, "Oh, he's just a goofy kid like us. Who'd have thunk?" So yeah, those were some of my golden years in kind of coming up and debating this stuff and learning more and more. One of my buddies that would chime on that forum, he was very clever, very snide, very sarcastic. I probably picked up a thing or two from him. And he once went by the name Pax Atheistica. And I just thought that was really clever, the whole atheistica. I like that. It got me to thinking about what it was that I was doing. And I'm like, well, I'm essentially doing theology, but really atheology is what I'm doing. So I think I kind of merged that with the atheistica title from that Pax Atheistica and came up with Atheologica. Kind of the time, that's what I titled my first WordPress blog, was Atheologica. And then when I decided to make a YouTube channel, I decided to stick with that name. I'm like, you know what? Let's run with the Atheologica title that I've given my blog, and I think it fits. I think it works. That's a really good question, and I'm glad you asked. Thank you so much, Zachary. What else about here, kids? Again, I welcome your super chats as a means to support me so that I can keep eating food and paying rent. Make sure I've not missed anyone here. Let's see here. We've got Chat GPT. This show is Bart Ehrman with fart jokes. I have not made a single fart joke yet. That's not fair. That is not fair. Except that you're right, because in spirit, that's exactly. Thank you, JatPT. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. I'm originally from Spain, and Mexican is my native language. So that's why you'll hear an occasional muchos. I can barely speak English. It's like a tertiary language for me. But I'm originally thoroughly Mexican, as you can tell just by looking at me. So you'll get that from time to time. What else? Zach for $4.99. Evansville, are you kindred spirits with Braxton Hunter? I believe his great university is there. Let me tell you something. Braxton Hunter, I have no idea who that is. I don't know who Braxton Hunter. I'm sorry. I don't know who that is. Did he? The name does sound vaguely familiar for some reason. Did he begin a university there? Would that be? There are two main universities in Evansville. One is the University of Southern Indiana, where I attended my freshman year, and then for one semester of grad school before I kept getting perpetually drunk. And there's also the University of Evansville, which is something of a prestigious kind of Ivy League school there in Evansville. I once sat down with Professor James Ware, who's a New Testament scholar, though a conservative one. Had a great couple of discussions with him about some of this stuff when I was learning a lot of this early on. And he told me, he was like, I am astounded by how much you know about this, just having studied it independently. He was really impressed. So, give me a cookie. Give me a. You did. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Zach. I don't know who Braxton Hunter is, but I'll look into it. And if you have more information, feel free to share. What else? Ricky Johnson. I'm a big fan of this guy. Ricky Johnson. I'm going to brag about this guy for just a minute. He sent me $20 through my PayPal prior to my trip from Washington returning back here to Kentucky. Sent me $20 to help out with lunch and meals on the road. So I'm eternally grateful for that. That was a very thoughtful, kind thing for you to do. And I appreciate your super chat here as well. He's 2 minutes. We're in it. Very much appreciated, Ricky Johnson, and I very much appreciate you, and I'm ecstatic to have you as a fan and a follower. You're good people. You're good people, you. That's one of the things I've learned doing this YouTube stuff. Guys, you'll get connected with worst of mankind and some of the best of mankind. And there's not a whole lot in the middle. You see the best and the worst. Ricky, you're among the best for sure. What else? Am I all caught up on things here? Let's see here. Braxton Hunter. Let me pull this out. What Zach shares here. Braxton Hunter is famous on the internet, that is. It goes to show how goddamn ignorant I am. See, I don't know as much as I purport to know. I've just lost my entire audience now. Damn it. That's interesting stuff, though. Thank you there, Big Z. Thank you. Oh, he's an apologist, says Zach. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Let me see here. Braxton Hunter is a YouTube Christian who only kills small animals in his spare time. I'm not sure which is worse, the apologetics or the killing of the small animals. Being real with you for a second, yeah, I'm not a big fan of killing small animals. I'm an animal lover. I'm a regular Ace Ventura IRL. I love animals of all sorts. I didn't get cats as a kid when I was growing up. I always loved dogs until I was dating a girl in Nashville, Tennessee, and I got acquainted with her cat, and I finally said, you know what? I get it. I get it now. I see why people love these feline mother. And I'm dogs and cats or whatever. You throw an animal at me, and I'm going to love it. That's all there is to it. I'm an animal lover. Animal lover. Apostasy says, I love this community, as do I, girl, as do I. Ricky Johnson, heart right back to you, buddy. What else we here? What else we got? Let's see here. Anything new? Any new supers? Any new good questions? Any new comments? I'm thinking we'll keep running with this broadcast at least 2 o'clock. Maybe wrap it up there, unless there's a whole lot of interesting stuff going on. We'll keep going if that's the case. But since this is a bit of a trial run, maybe we'll wrap this up here around 2, and I'll let you guys get on with your lives. We have B-Bear for $5. Why do people go into the jaws of death come out 3 days later? Jesus and Nana, Nachikita, Josephus, and others. That's a really good question, because you do see this 3-day theme repeatedly throughout the historical record there in the ancient Mediterranean world. There are certainly regarding Osiris and the Pharaoh. There are pyramid texts that speak of awakening or rising after a 3-day period or on the 3rd day. It is very much there and alive in the pyramid texts. You see this in the case of Nana. There is a 3-day period of mourning after 3 days and 3 nights. I think Hercules raises, is it Alcestis? I may be misremembering who it was, but he restores her to life or brings her back to the realm of the dead on the 3rd day. So you see this repeatedly. You see in Hosea 6, I think it's Hosea 6:3, that will be restored on the 3rd day, the nation of Israel, that is, which seems to be partaking of this cultic mytheme of the 3rd day resurrection. What is that? What's the origin of that? It seems to be that if the body had, by about the 3rd day, it began to rot to the point that people realized that there was just no coming back. By the 3rd day, this thing is gone. That the spirit may remain close to the body, but by the 3rd day, there's just nothing left there worth inhabiting. That's one understanding. Others suggest the sort of the waxing and waning of the moon, that the moon goes through a seasonally or annually a sort of 3 period ends to kind of wane and then reemerge in its lunar cycle. So there may be some connections with that as well. And it could be that it's not an either or, that it's just a mixture of these various traditions and vestiges that gave rise to that 3-day motif. So who knows for sure, but there are definitely some interesting theories that are highly plausible. Thank you so much for your question, B-Bear. That was a good one. That's a good one. Melody Joy, my pride and joy. I love me some Melody Joy. She's been with me throughout with all this stuff and a constant supporter, and I am so grateful for you, Melody Joy. A super sticker for 99 cents. Very, very, very much appreciated. You are a delight, Melody Joy, and I'm so happy you're here. What else? And another super sticker for $1.99 because she's a super girl. I'm telling you, you are, your name is very befitting of who you are as a person, very much so. I'm fairly certain that I haven't seen a question come from her yet, but I'm pretty certain there was someone who told me before the broadcast that they were going to be here and they might have a question for me, but I haven't seen it yet. And if you know who you are, if you're watching this, because you're about this size, you're a teensy little feller, you're a little gummy bear of a human being, and maybe you were didn't really have a chance to watch this, so you may or may not be here. But if you are here, I'm waiting for your question, you little stinker, you little stink butt. What else have we got here? Lots of just great comments, lots of loving, supportive stuff. I know I come off as a bit of a jerk maybe in some of my videos, but I'm all underneath all that. I'm all heart, and I think some of you people see right through it. I think you might have a hunch as to what's going on. Don't what else have we got for? Like I said, another 10 minutes or so. Any other super chats, questions, comments, observations, ridiculous fart jokes, comments about my ass? I welcome those always. I encourage that very much. I'm here to be sexually harassed. Don't not sexually harass me because I'm here for it. Candace Long, this would be the little gummy bear of a human being that I'm talking about. This is my ex-girlfriend, guys, whom I still love and adore. They're still very much at the least platonic. She's my buddy. She's my buddy, and I'm here for her always. She says, "Oh yeah, why are you the way you are?" Okay, I was expecting something uplifting. Okay, I was expecting some encouragement, love, and support. Not this kind of criticism. Not this kind of criticism. I don't know, Sweet Pea. I think I was I tell you what, there was a time when I was a kid, when my older brother had just wrapped up a football game and they lost. I think they lost pretty badly, and he was pretty upset. So he just got out of the shower and he's standing in front of his dresser drawer in his underwear, and he is not in a good mood. And I, being a little shit that I was, I'm wearing my little rubber cowboy vest with my little toy cowboy gun, and I sneak up behind him and I bang or something, and he was not here for it. Was not for it. So he knocked me out of the way. This is Kevin I'm talking about. This is Kevin, my older brother. Knocks me out of the way, and my head hits the corner, the edge of his waterbed. I mean, smacked it really good. And so I sit up. I think I'm a little bewildered. He puts his hand on top of my head, and then when he releases his hand, he looks down. We both look down at his hand. There's blood all over his hand. And of course, I begin, and he runs to the bathroom where my mother's in the shower, and he says, "Mom, I think Derek's hurt." I think. I did have to the next door neighbor. I guess Dad wasn't home. The next door neighbor ran us to the hospital where I was given stitches. And anyway, that might be that good bumping on the noggin might have something to do with why I am the way that I am. Thank this chat 999. I'm telling you guys, this girl does more for someone who's an ex-girlfriend. She does so much to support me. She's the reason why I've got the booster and the Ethernet all plugged up here. She spent a good chunk of change to get that set up because I'm still struggling to make a living doing this, but she really believes in me. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate her. Thank you so much, Sweet Pea, little gummy bear. What else have we got here? Zillahoki, I always knew you had a soft side to you, Derek. Yeah, but don't you dare tell anybody. Don't you dare. And Candace says, makes so much sense. Yeah. To you, I say, who else? It is 152. Zachary says, aha, that is funny, Derek. Yeah, yeah. Laugh at my plight. Laugh at my childhood trauma. How dare you? Because the one thing I damn sure don't do is laugh at myself. Be Sculler. I'm glad you made it out okay, Derek. as am I. What the hell? Why not root for me? The community we have. What is our community? Just a bunch of amazing, lovely people. Let me make sure I have not missed anything. See if anything else. I'm sure if I did, you guys would promptly let me know. Looks like I've got everyone pretty well covered. Can't thank everyone enough for their support. If anyone else has anything to add, I'm a fountain of knowledge and ridiculousness. So I am certain we could go on for hours, but we won't. But I'm just telling you, there's a lot of potential here. There's plenty of shenanigans and stimulating, informative discussion to be had. I already love this, and I can't wait to do more of it. And we'll get our shiz together as we continue and progress and go on. And if anyone wants to IM me with any kind of technical suggestions as to how we can improve upon this experience, please feel free to do so, because I'm all ears. Great comments, super fun. I'll give everyone, here we go. Atheologica, 2 quick questions. What time is it? Also, what is time? Well, time, as we know, is absolute. It's not relative. So right now it's 1:54 p.m. here in Western Kentucky. And that means it's 1:54 p.m. Throughout the universe. That's what time it is. 4 p.m. So time's relative. Time's relative. Of course, it's relative in the sense that I was just going stupid about, in that depending on where you are, the time's going to be different. But the very nature of time is relative, as Einstein showed us so long ago. And what a just brilliant mind to be able to grasp something that counterintuitive. If you're something with a massive amount of gravity, such as a black hole or a very highly condensed star or massive planet, or really anything that has that kind of attractive force, what it's really doing, it's not attracting anything as much as its mass bends, warps and bends space and time. It bends space-time as a fabric, and gravity warps it, it distorts it. And so it's literally warping not just space, but time itself. Time will actually, wherever you are within the midst of that pool, it's going to slow time down for you relative to someone somewhere else who's outside of that quote unquote gravity force. So the very nature of time is relative throughout the universe. And that's just, it's so counterintuitive and so deeply fascinating. It's just incredible. That's one of the issues that William Lane Craig has with his Kalam cosmological argument, because he is relying on I think it's the A theory of time, in which you have to have a more absolutist, he calls it's I can't think of the exact name of it right this moment. It's on the very tip of my tongue, but he relies on that A theory of time, which most cosmologists and physicists say almost certain. So he's a William Lane Craig, like he is with most everything. He's a cafeteria apologist. He just picks and chooses the theories that fit his hypothesis or the conclusion that he wants to arrive at, and a la carte, he just selects for my hypothesis. I'm with that, and I'm going to defend it to the hilt. We all know what you're doing. We can see it pretty clearly. Those of us who are not taken in by all of this, who are not part of the fold, we see so clearly what you're doing. You're a hack. You're a con artist. It's disgusting. And I get to make fun for it, and I do my job. We've got a $5 super chat here from Robert. And I am butchering your name. Is it Anthonat? Anthonat? I don't know for sure, but I like it. Did you know you look like Duran on Rings of Power? Now I have to look that up. Duran on Rings of Power. Time for some Google magic. Duran, Rings of Power. Let's see this guy. Images. Oh my God. Yeah, I guess I can see the resemblance. I get it. Thanks so much for that, and thanks for the super chat. Thank you, Robert Anthonat. And $2 super chat from my boy. I'm so proud of you, Derek of the Myth Vision podcast. Thank you, brother. Who would have guessed you and I would become such archie? Who would have ever guessed? I think I first heard about you from Kristen Whitaker Hood. Kristen Whitaker Hood? Well, golly, if you're talking to Kristen Whitaker Hood, you probably ought to let me know you're talking to Kristen Whitaker Hood, not Christopher. She was the one who gave me a heads up about you. And I'm like, oh yeah, who is this guy? She's like, oh, he's a recovery person just like you. He's got a podcast where he discusses the kinds of things that you discuss. And so my interest was certainly piqued. And it, yeah. Oh, he's got another one here. Another one. Here's Freddy from the 13th movie. That's unkind. That's hurtful when you say things like that. I don't know why you would pop in with a super chat where you're saying I look like Freddy Krueger, and that's not even the right movie. Friday the 13th. Jason, you slack-jawed idiot. You don't even know what you're talking about. Oh man, it's 1:59, so I'm going to wrap this up unless anyone else has anything they want to share, any burning questions or desires, or burning questions, desires, comments, questions, or venereal diseases. If you have any of that, let us know. Let us know. All right, kids. 2:00 p.m. We're going to wrap it up here at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for joining me for my first live stream. I know there were some technical issues. That was the whole point of this, was to uncover exactly what we might need to resolve or fix or work on. But thank you so much for hanging there with me. It's much appreciated. Thank you for your super chats and your love and support. I can't tell you enough how much I genuinely appreciate you guys. And it looks like we do have one more from Robert Anthonat. You pronounce my name well. It's Alsatian. So get something else of which I'm ignorant. You'll have to tell me what Alsatian is. I'm guessing it has a certain provenance from a certain country or nationality. And I'm here for it. I'm very much interested. You'll have to let me know if we end this broadcast beforehand. Just be sure to I am on Facebook, on Facebook Messenger. You can always also you can subscribe to my Patreon, where I'm very accessible there as well. Just keep it up, Derek. All your content and humor. Absolutely, Zachary. You bet. And from wannabe scholar, this was great. Thanks. Well, thank you. I'm so happy to hear it. Oh, we got a couple more. We got a couple more. We'll stick in here. Question every claim for $5. Do you mind thanking Mr. Lambert from Myth Vision for introducing me to your stream? Well, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Derek Lambert, for introducing Question Every Claim to my stream. Thank you so much. And Question Every Claim, thank you for being here. And thank you so much for the super chat. Very much appreciated. I don't know that I've seen you in the community before. So let's see more of you. Thank you so much. And Addison Weir for $4.99. How dissimilar do pagan stories have to be from Jesus' resurrection before they have no bearing on whether or not the latter is true? Well, first of all, Addison, I appreciate you're a follower and fan of good old David Falk, my good old buddy David. We're all real fond of David here. He's a stand-up guy and quite reasonable. Very, very steady hand at the ready. So what you're more than likely getting at is Osiris, and you're probably hinting at the notion that this is so dissimilar that why even bother making such a comparison? Well, as I have pointed out, and I have done so with the use of actual scholarship from a variety of scholars, including Egyptologists, and of course from the source themselves. Among the understandings of Osiris's resurrection was that it was indeed bodily. These invocations that are made to the king or the pharaoh this is the king or the pharaoh emulating Osiris. I mean, if you study Egyptology, you'll find over and over again that this is the whole idea. The pharaoh or the king rises because they are identified with Osiris in that process. So wherever it speaks of the pharaoh or the king shaking the earth from their flesh, loosen their mummy bindings, this is because this is what had happened to Osiris himself. It even talks about the pharaoh having to have their body reconstituted, their body parts brought back together. Why? Because that was the part and parcel of the myth of Osiris, that Set had ripped him to shreds. So it absolutely was bodily. He of course does venture on to an otherworldly realm, which is the Duat or the Netherworld or Elysium. So does Jesus, and so does every single one of these figures who are immortalized or raised from death. That's what you have to do. You can't, if you're saying that someone lives eternally now because they were immortalized or raised from death, you can't say that they're hanging out on earth still, because the question that naturally arises was, well, great, where the heck are they? You have to make the unfalsifiable. So whether Osiris, Jesus, Asclepius, or Romulus, if they are raised from death or immortalized, you have to say they've gone on to some otherworldly place. Now, as we know, the Netherworld or the Duat was not, and I quoted to this effect, such as Jan Osman, was not some shadowy existence in death and gloom like the Hebrew Sheol or the Greek Hades. That's just not what it was about. It was an otherworldly realm in which those who were raised from the sleep of death lived out their life eternally. They continue to enjoy all of the activities that they did while they had their earthly lives, but now they're doing so in a different realm. Again, phenomenologically, conceptually, this is pretty similar to what happens to Jesus, who is raised from death, but then he passes on to another realm. So those who try to drive a wedge here and say, I mean, are there certain distinctions and differences between the myths of Jesus and Osiris? Most certainly. I mean, they're not identical and one worth their salt is trying to argue that. But conceptually, as of course, Kara Cooney recently vindicated my work on this. As she said, conceptually, it's quite striking. It's quite similar, especially also given the soteriology involved. Salvation schema. Osiris's resurrection is essentially the prototype or the model for all those who hope to be raised as he was. If you don't see the similarity here conceptually with Christianity, I can't help you. You're not going to get any of this from David Falk, mind you. Granted, he's an Egyptologist. He's also a Christian apologist. He is emotionally unwilling to see these things, and I'm sorry you've had to see him be disgraced as he has been. He's tried to suggest that, oh no, he was all completely misunderstood, and he since been vindicated. He has not. He may think so there within his own community, but that's just that's flat out just ridiculous special pleading for the sake of saving face. But anyway, it was a great question, Addison, and I do appreciate super chat. Let me have anything else here. Addison Weir again for $4.99. I was asking a hypothetical. I'm not here to debate whether or not such stories are actually too dissimilar. Well, that's fine. In that case, I mean, it's a question of, it's also a question of talking about analogies or genealogies, right? When we see similarities between different faith traditions, it's a question of, is that because there's an actual genealogical link? Is one influencing the other? Or are these just common ideas that rise of similar impulses and similar ways of thinking among peoples and among the ancients? Sometimes these are just historical analogies, and sometimes they are just sometimes they are in fact genealogical. There are actually detectable influences, especially a lot of this that we see in the Greco-Roman world concerning apotheosis and the various kinds of miracles that Jesus works and so forth, as well as the whole notion of being the offspring of a high God and a mortal woman. In some cases, with Plato and Epaphus, in which there's no actual sexual activity between the God and the mortal woman. But if you ask me, I think even analogy is pretty telling. There doesn't even need to be influence, either directly or indirectly in some of these cases, to be able to see and understand that these are the kinds of ideas, the kinds of concepts that ancient Mediterranean peoples were prone to. This is the kind of legendary material and myth making to which they were prone. And if we understand that about Asclepius or Hercules or Osiris, we ought to understand that in the case of Jesus as well, or else it's just special pleading. If you understand the mythical and legendary nature of the one, you certainly ought to understand that in the case of Christianity as well. I know that there are apologetic arguments that attempt to special case for Jesus, but frankly, not one of them is actually convincing. And if you think they are, that just goes to show you how deeply inculcated you are within the fold, because nobody, absolutely nobody outside that sort of fundamentalist bubble takes any of this seriously or thinks that it's compelling. But again, I do appreciate the question and the super chat. So thank you for being here, Addison. Anything else? So those were a couple of great questions that came sliding in here by the end of this. Let me see if there's anything else I just want to share. Hey, I just want to say I'm a big fan of Excuse Me, But. Your comments are incisive and often hilarious. She's saying, Jack GPT, you are an excellent student of Canadian culture. Wouldn't we all love to be? Wouldn't we all want to be? Don't we all want to be Kip Davis? Like deep down, don't we all? Like he's like, what is it they say? If I can't think of the exact expression. Women want him and men want to be him. That's the one. But yeah, excuse me, but I always enjoy your stuff. You're a great commenter. Anything else? Anything else? All right. I'll give this just another minute or two to see if anyone else has any questions, comments, observations, burning desires. Other than that, once again, I want to thank everyone for being here for my first live stream. Uh, you made this a wonderful experience. And like I said, we'll get to work on resolving some of the issues we've had, and moving forward, we'll only get gooder. We'll only get gooder. So peace, love, and laughter. This has been Atheologica, religion, fascinating and stupid.